Back here on CBS Sports HQ, man, Penn State, a lot of folks, a lot of our analysts had Penn State as, hey, this is the year, James Franklin, they're finally going to get it, win a natty, get over the hump. These were their odds, or their chances, I should say, to make the CFP during the preseason. 81%. A lot of folks were very, very high on Penn State. So then we fast forward post week 6, post that loss to an unranked UCLA squad, and those chances went down significantly all the way to 35%. I'm also like the sad like Drew Aller that's over here as well from the beginning to the end. But yeah, we feel you, Drew Aller. So now we're going to talk about the implications of Penn State kind of stinking it up and what that means for other teams, bubble teams, as we go into the CFP, and we're trying to predict that. For that, we're bringing in Mackenzie Brooks. Kenz, we have this whole setup here. It's giving like meteorologist vibes.
Yes, I am the college football playoff weather woman. I have deemed myself that. This is a lot going on. So what we can do when we see the odds for teams to make the playoff is we can kind of reverse engineer what the odds makers are saying and see how many teams they are implying from each conference. Now, obviously, those aren't exactly whole numbers, but we're going to do our best to make them whole, use our own model to see what our own 12-team playoff would be. So with this said, I started out with some surefires that I do think are going to be a situation that we're going to see. Starting with the ACC behind me here with this Miami U to be in the ACC. We like them to win the ACC championship, but there is a very good chance that they would be the only team with an at-large bid as well, even if they do lose the ACC championship. So call that one of the locks, and we'll get into some more of these other Power 4 conferences that you're going to see. Let's start over at the SEC. Ole Miss very much on their way to 10-2. For the Big Ten and the SEC, it is about going 10-2 to make your way to the college football playoff. We'll talk about Georgia later. We do have them making it to the SEC championship, so that's why we like them here. Ohio State and Oregon, pretty self-explanatory so far, two of the best teams in the country. As far as the Big 12, we are implying we're only going to get one team from the Big 12 conference champion, and for us, that's going to be Texas Tech right now. Iowa State was in the chat, but then they became not in the chat after they lost to Cincinnati. So Texas Tech, you will be making it to the college football playoff right now. Let's go back to the SEC because there's a lot of games this weekend that have a lot of implications for what we're going to see. We're talking about Alabama, Missouri is one of those games right now. We have both of these teams making the college football playoff right now. Why? Because we like Alabama and they have that head-to-head versus Georgia here, but we also like Missouri to still make the college football playoff. Not because they're that great, but because they have a great schedule, a favorable schedule relative to the SEC. So both of these teams would drop to under a 50% chance if they lose to one another this weekend, but that's still relative a very high chance to make the college football playoff. So we like Alabama here. Again, both of them rocking around a 53% chance to make the college football playoff with a win. Very similar situations going more to that 70%, but again, both with a loss behind that 50%. So that's what we like so far.
For the SEC so far.
For the SEC so far.
So now we're going to kind of go over to the Big Ten, and we have a lot of big games, one on CBS specifically that has some CFP implications potentially with Indiana and Oregon, right? So we're kind of thinking like, hey, Oregon probably looks like a CFP team from the Big Ten. However, maybe not.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, Oregon, even if they lose this game this weekend to Indiana, we're going to still call them a pretty surefire to make the college football playoff. Having that Big Ten win against Penn State is looking really good for them. Now, what we think is going to happen, now that Penn State lost, we went from implied 4 teams to implied 3 teams. When Penn State looks bad, the whole conference is punished. So right now, this is looking like a 3-bid conference. And for us right now, that's going to be Michigan. Because Michigan plays USC this weekend. We like them to beat USC, and we like their favorable schedule. You may be thinking, Kenz, why is it Michigan, not Indiana? A, we don't like Indiana to win this weekend. A, we find it hard to believe they can win this game and then also beat Penn State. What we like more about Michigan than Indiana is the schedule that you see coming up and the way that this Michigan offense is looking better. It's about the progression that they're going to see here. All Michigan has is that #1 Ohio State at the end of the year. And as I mentioned, this offense just gets better and better. You look at Indiana, they have Penn State, they have Oregon, obviously, they go to Maryland. So just slightly, it's about that strength of schedule you're seeing. With all that said, let's talk a quick hypothetical here, because if Michigan wins this weekend and if Indiana pulls off the major upset, that looks really good for the conference in general. We would put Indiana in that playoff because if both of these teams win, it's probably just looking like a 4-bid conference. So these two playing well bodes well for the whole conference in general. However, I do not see that happening, so I do not think Indiana is going to be making it, so they are back in the bubble.
What a tease, Indiana. You were in, and then you were out.
Prove me wrong. I'll pay to prove it.
So we're good on the Big Ten for right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we want to shift over to the ACC because right now, of course, we have the Canes in there, but there is potential for 2 ACC teams to make it. So kind of walk us through what that would look like.
Right. So right now, odds are implying it's only going to be 1. They're in a very similar situation as the Big Ten, where when your big teams don't look good, the rest of the conference doesn't look good. Clemson's punishing them. FSU is punishing them right now. Odds makers and committee members are probably thinking all we really need is Miami if they win out and win the ACC championship. But Georgia Tech, welcome to the chat. I did not forget about you. There is a way that we get 2 teams from the ACC, the most likely scenario being Georgia Tech and the U. If Georgia Tech goes on, wins out, which includes beating the Georgia Bulldogs, may I add you, if they pull that off and find themselves losing in the ACC championship, we will absolutely still be giving them their flowers for that. And you see that all the way on November 28th versus Georgia. Again, if they can win that game and win out all of these games that they're probably favored for outside of that Georgia game, then they absolutely should be getting that second bid.
So Ken's, really quickly though, say this game goes to like 10 overtimes, because we saw it go to like 8 overtimes last year, right? Gave us all a heart attack. If it is so close, it's another game like that with multiple OTs. Does that do anything for them, or do they have to straight up win outright, do you think, to be that second ACC team?
If they lose to Georgia but still make the ACC championship and they win the ACC championship beating Miami, I think that's another way you see a combination of this. But this is really the only realistic combination we can see. Do I think they're going to beat Georgia and win out on their entire schedule and then play well in the ACC championship? Not so much the way that Miami's playing. I think our most likely situation is you see Miami run the table. So if you don't have 2 ACC teams, what that's probably going to directly correlate to is getting more SEC teams. I know my Danny Cannells of the world are in shambles. I don't make the rules. Odds makers are implying 4.8 teams from the SEC. Hand up, that has nothing to do with me. So who would be that 5th SEC team if that's a situation we're going to get? It's actually Texas A&M, which I feel like a lot of people aren't necessarily talking about here.
What if they lose to Florida this weekend, though?
Kick them out.
Okay.
And we got more bubble teams coming.
Sprinkle it out.
Yeah, no, because that's a really, really bad loss. No offense, Jacqueline.
No, I'm a Florida Gator, so obviously I'm trying to like insert that into the hypothetical situation.
Exactly.
Anyways, continue on with the plan.
So Texas A&M and Missouri are in very similar situations where we just like your chance to go 10-2 based off the schedule that you have. Again, are they our best power ranked teams? Absolutely not. You see Oklahoma down here. 100% we like the talent of this Oklahoma team better than Texas A&M, better than Missouri. But look at the Oklahoma remaining schedule. It is an absolute gauntlet, Jacqueline.
There you go.
You're looking at consecutive games against ranked opponents here. After Texas, literally your easiest game is going to South Carolina. By the way, that's probably a first-round draft pick you're seeing with their quarterback there. So nothing about, and it's such a shame because I really like I really like Oklahoma and I really like John Mateer. But you have to factor in their projected amount of wins based off the strength of schedule, and that's just why we're keeping them down here. Longhorns, horns down. Again, you're going to have to win out here, and this is an elimination game here with the Red River rivalry. And then we'll move on one more time to the group of 5. Obviously, we're going to have a representative from here. These are the 2 you've probably been thinking about. Memphis, we give the best chance here. We like them to win their conference better than UNLV. So Memphis is our group of 5 winner. So right now we're looking at 5 teams from the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten, 1 from the Big 12, 1 from the ACC. Again, what odds makers are implying, and a group of 5 winner. But we're missing one, Jacqueline.
Need one more. Yep.
Catholics, welcome back to the chat. Notre Dame, you are also implied in the college football playoff right now. They're minus 110 to make the college football playoff, so we're not crazy to assume that. Now that we've seen Texas A&M play some football, now that we've seen Miami play some football, they are back up to where they were after week 1 here, around that 37% chance. You saw that dip all the way down to under 20%. But again, with the parity, with Penn State losing, with Texas losing, they just inherit a little bit of everybody else's losses for their wins. And as much as it pains me to say, because I don't even know if they deserve this, they are certainly back in the chat.
Oh my goodness. Just when we thought they were out, they're going to find their way back in.
They're going to do it again, Jacqueline.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, if we could see something happen with the ACC and they can give us a case for 2, or maybe the SEC starts beating up on each other and we get a ton of 9-3 teams instead of 10-2s, that's going to help Notre Dame.
Yeah, and also Oklahoma, all you have to just win out. It's as easy as that.
Yeah, no problem.
And then you kind of get in the conversation again. You're welcome back into the chat. Kenzie, we appreciate it. This is a lot to unpack, a lot going on, but we appreciate you kind of making it simplified for us here and giving us the visuals as we are trying to make that picture clearer and clearer of what the CFP is going to look like inside the lines. Kenz, what do we have to look forward to on Inside the Lines?
It's just our awesome blog on CBSSports.com. You can type in that /ITL, and this is basically the brain dump of everything behind the operations of the sports line model, best bets, best projections, Heisman math, everything you could think of we have on that page.